Welcome to episode 33 of Rebels Without a Pod, aka the Four Neat Guys. The show that dares ask the question, where can we get some nice pastrami at the deli?
What?
My name is John, and joining me tonight, Andy. Don't shake your
Nobody
Andy,
can see what I'm doing.
who does our artwork and graphic design.
What's up, everybody?
Devine on music and audio production.
Hello, hello.
And Pod Daddy Eric, aka the guy on the side going, Winnie Cooper, you're better than this.
I think I should be the audio and production guy.
You think you should be?
I'm not going to contribute to it at all. I just want to have like a snazzy title.
Mm.
I want to feel like I'm contributing.
We'll get you some business cards printed up or something like that.
Yeah.
There we go.
I mean, I could be like the Wonder Years guy. People
Hmm.
just come to me looking for like fun Wonder Years quips. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Sure.
Are you just
Oh,
the
there we go.
narrator?
That's when
narrator.
that's the moment when I realized I was on a podcast.
Exactly.
There we go. Yeah, put that on a t-shirt. Today on the show, we're thematically continuing the mockumentary cycle with our second non-mockumentary SCTV comedy, Strange Brew. We'll also be discussing and voting our next set of movie themes for the first half of 2025. So, first off, gentlemen, how's it going?
Yeah, things are good here. Just busy and holidays and stuff, but otherwise all right.
That's and anything recently you've been watching, reading, listening to that you want to talk about? Shout out.
For myself, I can't remember. It wasn't that memorable, I guess. I did start watching Beetlejuice, but I ended up falling asleep.
Okay.
But so far it's pretty good.
Oh, nice.
There's a Key and Peele. Been watching a little bit of that, the show. That's been fun.
Oh, no. Is that your first time kind of like dipping your toe into it?
Yeah. So
Have you gotten to the East-West Bowl yet?
East-West Bowl, where they go through all the names of the different, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It just keeps going and they get
My kids
crazier.
absolutely fucking love that sketch. They will walk around the house going, Ingle McCringleberry, or
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah.
Fudge.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Oh,
One of the
yeah.
players' names is just like the sound of like a dolphin.
Yeah. And then there's the one guy, John Smith from BYU at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Good
So
stuff.
funny. It just Key and Peele. I don't know that I've ever watched an actual episode of that show front to back, but that can be. I kind of go on like these sort of YouTube rabbit holes from like time to time. Well, I'll just I'll be kind of clicking around. All of a sudden, the algorithm will have like a dozen new Key and Peele sketches I've never seen before, and all of them are just amazing.
They're
Yeah.
still
Have you-
making them pretty regularly, right? Just not
no,
Comedy
like,
Central. No,
No.
I see them
No,
still
they-
get posted. I don't know if it's under Key and Peele, like the same, like the show itself, or it's their own thing that they're just putting them out on a website and they're getting distributed on YouTube or something. But I've
I
seen
think
recent
it's one
stuff.
of those kind of things. It was a little underwatched when it first came out, and then Key and Peele, like the show sort of became famous and kind of had like a long tail, like after it kind of went off the air, and like the two of them, obviously just very kind of sort of significant sort of actors and directors right now. So I think it's just the kind of thing. The Comedy Central kind of YouTube channel just keeps them in like rotation a lot.
That's what I'm afraid of, guys. If we get too popular, I mean,
Mhm.
we might just go our own ways, and these might be like our best moments of our lives together.
I'd
And
say
then-
the chances of us hitting it big are pretty high.
I agree.
As high as 3%.
With all my music and production
Yeah.
contributions, I think really just it's gonna happen
Yeah.
Right.
any day now.
Yeah, never seen a channel take off so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just guys. I feel like we're one bit of like a sort of Winnie Cooper trivia away from like hitting the big time. Gotta keep reaching.
Come
Well-
on, tell me this. You watched the show as a kid, right? You
Of
must
course.
Never.
have. Did you
Never.
have the
Never.
biggest crush on her as everybody else did at the time?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
I'm just checking because I don't want to hear any bad mouthing of Winnie Cooper. I
Oh my
mean,
God, no. And
that was
she's-
my first girl.
And
so-
she's still gorgeous. And on top of it, she's like a genius. She's like a math wizard.
She said like a math savant has
really?
written kind of like 30 different books on like on sort of kind of math tutoring and science education.
She also stopped
wow.
aging at like 27, right?
That's about right.
Yeah.
I did like his sister too, though. Kevin Arnold's sister. She was hardly in it.
Really?
Kevin had an older sister?
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, the blonde lady.
wasn't that Olivia
The
Dabble?
blonde lady. The one that hung out around the house sometimes.
Yeah,
No,
she was
no
like a
speaking
hippie blonde
parts.
chick.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
2 older sisters. That explains a lot.
Yeah.
It's,
I've
Man.
never seen a single episode of it. Fred Savage was on the show apparently.
whatever happened to Josh?
You've never seen a single episode?
I hope that's
Like
not.
that
It's
show?
just
Really?
we didn't have cable at the farm and
That's no excuse. No.
You're an
It
adult
was
now,
not
goddammit.
cable. You did not need cable to watch Wonder Years.
You are an
my
adult.
It was like ABC or
my
something.
exposure to the TV most people our age kind of grew up on is very, very patchwork.
John just kept turning it to channel 38 where it's just like all blurbed up like porn. And he's like, I see a boob. There's definitely a boob there, Tim. High-fiving him and
You're right, right.
realizing his 2 brothers watching porn together.
Right.
Weird.
You know that's why I've been permanently cross-eyed from like 14, just trying to make it static.
Tim, just move your left arm this way. Come on, we got everything.
yeah, no. I'll take one rabbit ear. You take the other one, wrap it in tinfoil, and now you just go that way like 30 yards. I think we got something.
Nipple.
Yeah. You're helping land the drones.
Right.
Bring the drones in. Let's go.
What a just sad sounding and impossible thing to kind of explain to kind of the people that actually grew up with the internet like the entire time.
Yep, totally.
Yeah,
Right. It was this or find like a box of porn in the woods.
You
Yeah.
know what they call
No
that,
third
right?
option. No third
Call that
option.
the Wonder Years.
Mm.
So you have seen it.
The only thing I kind of want to shout out real quick, I did a bunch of sort of like movie watching like on the plane right out so I'm out in Tokyo currently. Like the biggest surprise out of everything that I watched in the plane, and this is a movie I had just no curiosity about, but I heard kind of shouted out on one of my movie podcasts like a bunch of times. But this Happy Madison produced children's film called Leo. It's with Adam Sandler and Bill Burr. They star as a terrarium lizard and turtle who live in like a 5th grade classroom in Fort Myers, Florida, and it was just kind of co-written by kind of like Sandler and Robert Smigel, like the usual people they sort of all work with. Not something it would have like occurred to me at all to actually kind of check out, but just an absolutely fantastic movie, like front to back. Like I was amazed, like just not how funny it was. It's probably sort of like kind of just maybe career best voice acting from Adam Sandler, like in Bill Burr, but I just how kind of like emotional, like empathetic, like the entire thing was. Like I think I mentioned this like on the group chat, but if you ever want to see Bill Burr as a turtle cry at the end of Charlotte's Web and kind of emotionally sort of just be right there with him, like at the same time, it's really a film worth checking out.
I didn't believe it, but his name was Squirtle in the movie. I don't know where they got that, but genius.
Genius.
Squirtle.
Yeah. You've seen it also, right, Eric?
Yeah, I did. Robert Smigel also get directing credits for that.
Oh, really?
There was like 2 or 3 directors on that. I was shocked. That was one of those ones. It's like a sleeper hit maybe, or it's like, and it makes me think of Hotel Transylvania kind of, because that was like Adam Sandler. He brings in his buddies. They work on the script.
Yendi Tartovsky, who was like a very kind of just kind of well liked and respected, like a guy who did Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack, and was very kind of accomplished for like a lot of the like Cartoon Network stuff they did. Another kind of sleeper, would not have in a million years thought to check it out. Watched it on a plane and just really loved it front to back.
Yeah, my son Ray was watching it, and I just happened to start paying attention. I'm like, it's pretty. I'm going to watch this. It's pretty good. Because it's funny, but it's not trying extremely hard to like doing dad jokes or just like over the top things that kids like that adults don't necessarily like. It's kind of like shared humor. So it's like everybody kind of gets it and it's fun.
it channels a lot of old kind of Chuck Jones, Tex Avery. Like the animation is so funny and fluid, but it does it in this natural sort of way that, you know, it just, like I said, it doesn't try too hard, and that it sort of makes it like weirdly effective because of that.
Yep.
Yeah. Andy, Eric, any other like stuff you
I
want to
do.
shout out?
I have to bring this up because this was something I was not planning to do, but my son decided he was going to continue his Spider-Man kick, and we watched all the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
Nice.
Which I thought they were great. I was, you know what it is? It's fantastic because, I mean, you guys have probably, like me, have seen it, you know, a bunch of times, and you know what to expect. But I just love Sam Raimi as a director.
Sure.
And there's a lot of Sam Raimi tropes, a lot of things that he always pulls in when he's doing, you know, movies. And the one thing I love is the second movie where it's Doc Ock. He's been knocked unconscious from that blast from the big energy thing that he was creating, energy sphere. And he's in the hospital, and they decided because the arms, the big octopus arms are like melted to his body essentially. And then like the needles for like the spinal thing that's on his back kind of got like stuck in him. So they're like, we're just gonna have to saw it off. And the guy pulls out like a saw, he just starts it up. He's like, did you guys hear something? And he's like, all right, let's get cutting. And then immediately it kicks into like an Evil Dead like fight scene.
Yeah, it's amazing how
doctors and nurses fighting the arms
right in like the middle of Spider-Man 2. It's such a cool scene.
Yeah, it would be like the doctor. He kind of looks over. It like zooms in on like the saw. The doctor looks back. It's close in on his face. You see the arm turn and look at him, and then he just dives for it, and then you just hear him scream as like the arm, like the shadow of the arm, kind of like penetrates him or something. And
so good.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun when Sam Raimi directed Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. He gets some. He also again gets some. He gets a few kind of random like Evil Dead shout outs there as well.
Totally. Yeah.
Like
skeletons and everything.
Yeah. Right. So what did Ray think about like the third one? Because that's where like most people kind of consider like the series.
Yeah, the CG, they kind of lose some of it. It didn't bother him too much. Like I said before, my kids, for some reason, like they grew up with a lot of CG movies, so for them it's like second nature. That's like true horror movies for them usually has like CGI in it.
Sure.
I show them Gremlins, they could give two shits. They're like, it's puppets, it's hokey, it feels old. They laugh when like the Gremlin puppets are like moving their mouths and eating popcorn and stuff, and they're like, that's so fake. And then they'll see shit like this and they're like, oh my god, look at that. Like when Ray saw the Sandman turn to like a cloud of sand and fly around the city, he's like, what just happened? And I said, oh, I think he's going to find his next victim. And he's like, oh wow. So he was totally in it. Or the scene at the end, the big fight scene where they have, and I forgot about a lot of this too. It's Spider-Man, and then they have James Franco shows up as like the Green Goblin.
It's like the Hobgoblin. Yeah.
And his face is all like scarred because they had what's his name, Bully Maguire, where the black suit, Tobey Maguire got the black suit. He became evil Peter Parker and went around just like being a shithead.
Which mostly involved him sort of walking around and sort of just weirdly kind of like funk dancing. Like
the best scene, I swear to God, the best fucking scene in the movie is when they show up at the jazz bar. Mary Jane's working there, and they're like, "Hey, Mary Jane, take the mic." And she's like, "Yeah, you got it, Carlos." And she goes up and she's about to sing, and then you hear this crazy like piano kick in. And then it just shows Bully Maguire on the piano, like, and he just looks over at her. And Ray's like, what's he doing? And I was like, you didn't know that he was like a amazing piano player? He's like, what? What? And then he just jumps up and he starts dancing around the room, like leaping off the piano, jumping on tables, grabbing women. So it's so over the top. I don't know who came up with that, but I love how Sam Raimi's like, leave it in.
I
work.
there's a standing theory that Raimi's always wanted to direct a musical, and like that scene is kind of funny and just as kind of meme to death as it is right now. I remember kind of watching it back in the day and just being like, what the hell is actually going on right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
so out of place. But I keep dropping the so I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before on YouTube. They have a ton of clips that came out it's like right after COVID, I think. It's called Bully Maguire.
Right.
It all stems back to the fact that Tobey Maguire, he had that the run-in with the paparazzi where they were like, he was driving his car and then some guy got in front of him and then he started like screaming like, get the F off my car.
I remember
And
that.
so
Yeah.
people are like, man, he's just an asshole. And so they took all the clips from Spider-Man 3, you know, when he combs his hair down, like the emo style in front of his face and stuff, and they called it Bully Maguire because he's being a bully.
Right.
And so what they do is they say, "Oh, Bully Maguire in Family Feud,"
And then they kind of
splice
deep
it
him and
into
like other kind of film prop.
but they have so many of them. We've watched them a bunch, and it's always the same clips that they use over and over again. You got to check it out. It's really funny.
One of maybe my favorite memory of like those three Spider-Man movies, and like this is a story I've kind of told like a billion times before, but I went to see the second one with my high school friends, including Devine. He was like sitting like right next to me at the time, and like the second movie ends with you know, just Peter has revealed that he's Spider-Man to Mary Jane, and she's all just kind of just loving and supportive of it, and like, you know, they're about to kiss, but then, you know, you hear kind of police sirens like in the background, and Peter's like, oh, and Peter's like, oh, I got to go take care of this. He kind of goes swinging off, and you know, Mary Jane just goes, go get him, Tiger, and Naveen, sitting next to me, has been silent as a church mouse like the entire movie, suddenly just screams, he's a spider. I laughed for like 20 minutes straight. Like, they were like just tears are just rolling down my face.
That was awesome.
And what was so funny to me, and just years and years later, and like in the new like Tom Holland Spider-Mans, there's actually like a scene in No Way Home where they're doing like a they're doing like a high school news announcement, and and the girl at one point goes, "Go get him, Tiger," or should I say, "Go get him, Spider." And I'm like, Naveen got there 20 years earlier.
They heard me.
Highlight 15.
Yeah.
They heard my complaints.
And so that, yeah, that's you know, I'd be like really kind of curious to see, like, so are you guys going to keep on going with like the other Spider-Man?
Yeah,
They're going to do
we
like
watched the first Andrew Garfield one too. Wow,
Nice.
what that one is such a mixed bag. I didn't like it at all, and the kids loved it. They were like, this is my Spider-Man. And I was like, yeah, look at him. He's just kind of like too cool for school. He's got the skateboard. Right. He's like the
he's clearly in his mid-30s. It's the 90210 thing.
Yeah. Well, it's great because it's like they have Flash Thompson, and he like he loses his basketball, and then Peter gets his basketball, and then he just kind of he had his spider abilities at that time, so he just does like keep away or whatever, and makes like Thompson look like an asshole. I think he went slam dunk it. He slam dunked the ball, and he shattered like the backboard, and then he got in trouble. And Uncle Ben had to come down and get him out.
Everybody in that scene looks like they would be going to like HR instead of the principal's office. Like they had the high school.
I actually really liked it. I thought
Did
it was
you?
good.
It was like half an hour after that. Then Flash Thompson goes up, finds out his uncle dies, and he's just like, Peter's like, no, not now, Flash, not Nash, not now. And he just grabs him and holds him up against the locker. And he's like, I get it, man. I get it. And I was like, that's one line they crossed. They shouldn't have done it. But I mean,
I just really like Andrew Garfield. He
was really good in it. And he at that age, young in his career, he just fit the role.
Yeah.
The script was
great actor, great characterization
but,
of it. Just the inexplicable shit that Sony kind of does and has continued to do with their movies up until this is kind of like, you get sort of nerd news here, but they're already announcing because of Kraven the Hunter, which is like a very famous Spider-Man villain. He had a standalone movie come out theaters this weekend it's already tracking to like make less money even than like Morbius or Madam Web actually did. And
Wow.
Sony has basically announced we're not going to be doing any more of these kind of just standalone sort of Spider-Man movies anymore. We're basically done with it.
It only took them like 12 of them to figure it out that it didn't work.
Yeah.
Seriously, I
But they
was
couldn't do
shocked
it.
that even came out. So they have the big the big story arc that they had in the Spider-Man series with Kraven is called Kraven's Last Hunt. And that was like a huge one. But it was Spider-Man and Kraven. So it's like if you keep making these movies without Spider-Man, but you want to pull off like these memorable things that people read in the comics, don't
Right.
just shit on it by having somebody that was, didn't read it come in and create this fantastical thing that, it's just lackluster. And I mean, or maybe they have Morbius show up and then Kraven chases him and that's the hunt. It's like vampire versus the king of all beasts or something.
Yeah, Matt, I don't know who else here has seen kind of Madam Web in particular, but it just
I didn't watch all of it. You told me it was fun.
more and more looks like more like maybe like a Russian money laundering scheme than like any actual sort of serious efforts to
How much did you
bring
lose?
Like Mattress Firm.
Yeah. Any case, so let's see. I'd be curious to kind of please report back. As the kids keep working their way through them, or maybe we could have Ray on the pod sometime to kind of talk.
I told you
Spider-Man.
his favorite villain is Mysterio, so he's just going to keep pushing till he gets there.
Nice.
Cool.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's kind of move on to the movie. All right. So this was Andy's pick for tonight. Strange Brew is a 1983 Canadian beers and buddies comedy written by, directed, and starring Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas, with Paul Dooley, Lynn Griffin, Angus McInnes, and Maxon Poseidow. Synopsis in brief: Bootlegs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The film was based on a recurring SCTV sketch, The Great White North, which featured Moranis and Thomas as Bob and Doug McKenzie, slow-witted blue-collar hosers who riff on topics like back bacon, long underwear, and how to get free beer. The segment was created after SCTV received a mandate from the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation to add 2 more minutes per episode of Canada-centric content. These characters were arguably the most stereotypical portrayals of Canadians ever captured on film, but Bob and Doug turned out to be breakout hits. The Great White North album, released in 1981, sold over 1 million copies in North America and was certified triple platinum. Just a kind of commercial and critical reception. The movie only grossed $8 million at the theaters against a $4 million budget, and the very limited number of professional reviews that were out at the time were kind of middling. Janet Maslin for the New York Times wrote, "The Mackenzies are genial enough, and once in a while they're vaguely funny, but their film is so ephemeral that you may be hardly aware of watching it, even while it's going on." Jay Scott for the Toronto Globe and Mail was more positive. "What's terrific about the Mackenzie brothers is their offhand depiction of 2 English-Canadian working-class dimwits. And what's terrific about this movie is the equally offhand surrealism. The movie, despite not doing particularly well in theaters, attained a cult following after its release on cable and home video, and is now currently regarded among like the best and most popular Canadian comedies." So, Andy, this one was your pick, so why don't we start with you?
I mean, I think I've beaten this horse dead, but I definitely missed the brief on this one. Not a mockumentary. However, it is a movie that I've watched countless times at this point. I have a super soft spot for it. It's awful, and I know it's awful, but I just love it so much, and I don't know. I just can't help but be transported back to like when I was a kid, when I first started watching this movie, and just remembering all the stupid jokes and walking around calling my friends hosers and take off, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know.
What neighborhood did you grow up in?
I was in Rochester for a little while, Rochester, New York. It's not far from Canada. So
I'm gonna say, yeah, so that's fair. You were close enough.
There is that. But yeah, anyway, I again totally missed the brief, but I regret nothing.
Nice. Eric Devine, general impressions.
This is what the first thing I thought of about maybe 15 minutes into the film. I'm half French Canadian, but clearly I'm not Canadian enough to enjoy this movie. I was thinking of like you go to like the carnival with your kids or something, and then they have this ride, and your kid wants to go on the ride, and you're like, sorry, you're not 4 feet tall, you can't go on the ride. You know, when you get a little older. Yeah, I think I walked up to that sign, and they're like, you have to be this Canadian to watch this movie. I didn't even come close. I did not like it at first. It grew on me towards the end. I think the back half, when stuff started to make sense, and there was a lot more comedy, I think I liked it a lot more.
Sure.
I lost it when the dad was screaming about all the beer that showed up at the house, because the dad's voice, I was like, I know that voice. That's Yosemite. Yes. That's Yosemite Sam.
Yeah, it's Mel Blanc.
And I looked it up and I was like, Mel Blanc. And I was like, was he still alive? That was like 6 years before he died, which is crazy.
That was 6 years before he died. I would have figured like, it was one of these things like with like Edgar Bergen and like the Muppet movie, like he recorded his bit and then he like passed away like a week later or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, no, he's like, hire me. He's like, I'm gonna die in 6 years. Give me something. I'll be anybody's dad. It doesn't matter. You don't even have to show my face. But I, you know what? There was a lot of fun moments in it that I think helped redeem it. And again, I only watched it once, so maybe if I watched a second time, I might enjoy it more. I think I was just a lot of times when I was confused. For example, the what was it? The whole thing about Pam's dad being killed. And I don't know if they ever revealed. They revealed that he was killed, but I don't understand how he was killed twice. I don't understand how his digital image showed up and read at the end. He's like, check out these cool special effects. I'm like, what are you doing there? What?
All of it is supposed to be a riff on Hamlet and it goes to Hamlet's father. You know, like the brewery being called Elsinore, and like the thing of like the uncle killing the dad. And
I didn't see that movie. I don't know. I must have missed that one. I was definitely behind the movie though when they had. I saw they called the dog out. I love the dog.
Yeah.
The dog was my hero. Yeah. They're pouring out the beers. Like at the beginning, they have the beers. They each have a beer. Then they're pouring one in the dog dish, and the dog starts drinking it. And the dad's like, "Hey, get me a beer!" And they just look down at the dog dish, and they show that dog with his fucking angry face. And I was like, that dog. Or they put the skunk stripe on him, and I was like, that's it. Right. I know what's gonna happen. And
that was maybe the point in the movie I laughed the hardest, where they painted the dog as a skunk, and despite them all being there with cars and trucks, they're giving the dog instructions on how to get to Oktoberfest.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what is happening? Where is it going? And
when the dog flies inexplicably,
you know how to get there, right? And they're like, look, as soon as you get there, all like the like the
sausages and the beer you want,
and all the beer you want, and the dog just takes off. I love how he loses his cape like halfway.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
did he lose the cape or did he grow the cape?
You think he threw the cape?
Grew the cape. Like he grew, like he didn't have it and then it pops up.
Grew off of him. You know what? I wouldn't put it past the movie. That sounds like a very Hamlet thing. So I would give it a out of 10. I would say maybe like a 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair.
I love this movie. I remember watching it as a kid, but actually when I watched it, I forgot like all the jokes because it's been so long. I did remember from when they got when Pam and Doug got put into the bat, and then he had to drink all the beer and stuff. Yeah. I remember that whole part there. From that point, like, yes, I knew that part there. And then he pees on the place to put the fire out and things. It was.
I got to pee so bad I can taste it.
Yeah.
I still say that to this day. I still say that.
Nice. I still love the part where it's like, is it getting warm in here? And he's just like looking, and then the next scene is like he drank all the beer. I'm like, not all the beer. Like,
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't put those two together. Oh,
Yeah.
gross. Yeah.
it was mostly beer.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's hilarious. And I guess the relation for me is my mom's side of the family has been living in Toronto for years. So, we'd go up there like at least once a year for a while when we were kids. Yeah, my cousins, not necessarily hoser, but you definitely hear the A. They often throw in there.
Call each other knobs.
Yeah.
Hey, who horked my clothes, eh?
Orked. That was a great one.
Give in to the dark side of the force, you knob.
Yeah, you knob.
I love the one where he's like,
Yeah.
we're from the Department of Justice and we're adjusting it's just like what the Department of Justice does. They don't adjust things, but
Yeah.
What?
No, there's so many quotable lines in that movie that like have just followed me
Yeah,
throughout my
yeah.
life. I still say somebody horked something from me. Somebody horked my something.
Mhm.
Love it. I'll be in the
Yeah.
cafeteria selling smokes.
Yeah,
Lock you in
You know,
there.
for me, I think I'm kind of right along like the lines with Eric. This was about like a 5 for me. Like I have sort of no Canadian sort of connections whatsoever. Like this is a movie I just kind of completely missed, kind of like growing up. My parents were big kind of Cheech and Chong fans, and they had all the albums, and
Yeah, they
they
were.
tried to show me the
parents,
movie like a
parents.
couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids too. Secondhand.
Oh yeah, just
Your parents are lovely. Your
again,
mom's
you'll have
hemp brownies are to
uh-huh.
die for.
You'll have to go back and listen to the Uncle Normie episode to get like the full context there.
I'll have to hear it. Yeah. Oh, do you touch upon it in there?
Yeah, just here and there. Spoiler: my dad and Uncle Normie do kind of confess to like sort of a variety of felonies at like different points in the interview, but it's all in good fun.
Were they
Statute
under
of limitations is long since passed. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. We may not have been sober when those things happened.
Or when they were
yeah.
doing the pod.
Oh man, you guys, you know how to party.
Yeah, just the story my father tells about being in San Francisco and seeing Fantasia like on a like certain amount of kind of chemical alteration is kind of a hair raising one. But I'm just like, it's on mic, it's in the show.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
if you haven't
this
listened to
movie
it, it's a
for
good
me was
episode.
kind of like it was funny. I didn't need to spend like an hour and a half. Like, just Bob and Doug are sort of kind of great sort of like kind of comedic characters. I didn't need to spend like an hour and a half with them. Like at the end of the day, like I think this is very much you either had to see this when you were young, or you had to have like a bunch of friends that were just kind of quoting it to you all the time, or kind of some other sort of context for it. The interesting thing kind of think about for me is I went back and I watched all the like a bunch of like the Bob and Doug kind of clips that SCTV like put up on YouTube.
Mhm.
And what I had in my head the whole time, I had mentioned that earlier this year I watched the Saturday Night film, which is like the Jason Reitman directed movie about what happened in the final 90 minutes, like leading to like the first episode of Saturday Night Live. And a movie I absolutely loved, like front to back. One of like things that kind of really honed in on in the story was what they were doing at Saturday Night Live. It's just everything is kind of like sort of like normalized and tame now, but what they were doing at the time was really kind of transgressive. I mean, like the you see the writers' room fighting with the FCC, like just during the literally kind of reading or like kind of leading up to like the first broadcast of like, you have to put this kind of thing in here, or you have to leave these words out, or you can't make this joke, or you kind of you can't use this thing because it might be like interpreted as profanity or whatever else. The original Bob and Doug stuff, you watch it and it's literally just 2 minutes of really funny, but also just kind of lazy kind of flipping the bird kind of like improv comedy. Like, you know, they seem like barely interested in kind of doing the characters. You know, there's barely any jokes in it. It's hilarious, but it's also kind of again sort of kind of transgressive and kind of punk rock at the same time. I think they were you know, they I guess came up with these sketches, these characters, because they got this dumb, almost kind of senile like directive from like the broadcasting company, and then they're just, you know, and they responded in a way that was just kind of, you know, just it was kind of like it was a big fuck you to like the government and like the censors. The fact that they kind of became breakout hits of the show, the fact they had kind of like a platinum album, and the fact they got like a big expensive movie like this actually made off like these kind of 2-minute like punk rock bits, that for me is like one of the most interesting things I think about this movie.
I didn't actually go back and watch any of the clips, but that's interesting to hear.
There is some truly, truly funny stuff that came out of SCTV that didn't get, or still doesn't get, the kind of the credit that it deserves. You look at the names that came out of that show, and
completely crazy. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's like Murderer's Row of comedy. I think, you know, obviously there haven't been as many casts, and it wasn't on for as long as SNL has been on, but pound for pound, SCTV had far more stars come out of it, I think, than SNL did.
And particularly stars relevant to people exactly like our age. I mean, you just I only, I think, found out of like SCTV like a few years ago, and like the fact that Martin Short and John Candy and Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy and Rick Moranis were all sort of, you know, just, you know, it's totally, there's maybe kind of like 12, 13 like cast members, and more than half of them are people that are either comedians that we sort of grew up on, or still can, you know, just still continue to be like famous and accomplished like up to this day.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody hasn't watched the skit with Martin Short and doing the synchronized swimming,
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh God,
Harry Shearer, is it?
Yeah, Harry Shearer. That's who it is. I couldn't think of the other guy's name. Do yourself a favor. It is. It's one of my favorite funny moments ever. Period. Across the board. It's just. It's so bizarre, and the Martin Short, the character that he plays, is like very clearly mentally handicapped, but they don't ever really touch on it. The fact that he is. He's just this weirdo. Anyway. It's so good. It's so funny. Yeah. You should definitely watch it.
Yes. I have watched like, you know, who is it? It's like the Five Neat Guys sketch, where it's like, you know, like you know, they're kind of like the cornball doo-wop singers from like the 50s, and they all have like, you know, like kind of like the pastel colored sweaters, and I think it's John Candy, it was John Candy, Rick Moranis, Eugene Levy, Joe Flaherty, and like Dave Thomas.
Yeah.
Doing those, and it's like, you know, their songs are stuff like "Let's Have a Party in My Rec Room," or "Who Made the Egg Salad Sandwich," or "Don't Step on My Clip-On Tie." I have just think it's weirdly it's a thing I've honestly been like just watching probably at least once a day for like about like a week or two now.
Yep. Yeah. And the Joe Flaherty character is clearly like maybe drunk or close to it anyway.
I guess that was like a recurring bit he did in most of the sketches he did, like in SCTV.
Again, though, they don't ever call any attention to it. You just like he's just this random one of the five that is a little tipsy.
Right.
So good, so funny.
So questions about this movie. We are extending our mockumentary cycle. I think we mentioned like on a previous episode by one more episode, or we're going to wrap this up by watching Spinal Tap. This was after Andy's most recent rewatch of Strange Brew, where he texted the group chat. He's like, "This is an amazing movie. I'm looking forward to talking about it. This can't possibly be kind of like construed as like a mockumentary at all." But Andy kind of wanted to put it to like the rest of the group. Is there anything that you can kind of point to in the movie that like maybe it's mockumentary like, or it has kind of mockumentary touches?
Who's going first?
I mean, I don't. I played this in my head for myself when I was thinking about the question. I'm like, I'm watching myself responding to this question as we're recording the podcast, and I'm like, well, there was a scene, and then I'm like, no, there wasn't that scene at all. But I do feel like at the beginning when
the
it was
beginning and the end, like the framing device, but
just how how it framed, where it's kind of like they're like, okay, and so they're in the audience watching the movie that they made, talking about how they're moving from TV to movie, and seeing that, I felt like somehow that was like, this is kind of a documentary of how we're going to make a movie, but then the movie just starts. So that just kind of shits on that theory. Yeah. So that's as far as I got.
That's the only thing I came up with. And like, it's literally how the Muppet movie begins and ends. And it just, I don't know if we can kind of put it that way up.
Naveen?
Yeah, I mean, that was my only thing. Was in the beginning they're like, all right, we're gonna show you we're making a movie, and they're pulling the lion's tail and stuff. And then it brought it back like, all right,
oh, MGM lion, you're drunk.
Yeah.
And that lion just
hoser.
That lion thing is fucking nuts, because that's a real lion. There's nothing between the two of them and the lion, and he's using his tail like a crank on an old engine on an old car. That lion is drugged to within an inch of its life, because my God, they would have been food otherwise.
Yeah. And again, that's the only thing I could think of. And then when they're saying, "Yeah, this TV," and then they get into the movie, and then they end it. It's like, all right, that was our movie. Like it was part of the show that they do. This is our backdrop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that's how you make a movie.
Just I didn't mention this question kind of like in like the show like conversation earlier, but I was thinking about kind of like obviously just Cheech and Chong is like a slightly earlier version of this of this since then, and kind of following Strange Brew. We've had there's been other kind of comic pairings similar to this, Wayne and Garth, Bill and Ted, Harry and Lloyd, Beavis and Butthead. But what I was thinking, has a movie like this been made in our adult lives, which is just about kind of two sort of loser childhood friends, and they just kind of in the style of a Beavis and Butthead or Wayne's World or anything like that? Is
like a Bill and Ted?
Yeah.
Bill and Ted, Dude, Where's My Car?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a very good one, actually.
Harold and Kumar.
Harold and Kumar is another one. Yeah.
Sure.
Wayne's World was the movie that kept on coming back to me as I was watching it this time around, and I'd never made the connection before. And there was a part of me that was wondering if I was conflating the two movies in some ways, because I think that there are more elements, still not enough, but more elements in the Wayne's World movies to support a mockumentary, quote unquote, title.
There's more meta bits and fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like there's the bit in Strange Brew where Dave Thomas is driving and he turns and he's looking at Rick Moranis' character and kind of talking to him while not watching the road. That was directly ripped into Wayne's World. They did that in that movie as well. So I think I was kind of meshing the two movies in my head at least a little bit, and maybe that's how I got confused. Either that, or I'm just those fourth wall breaking sort of just meta moments are just kind of intrinsic parts of like these movies. I mean, it's the sort of thing that's kind of been used sort of like over and over again. So that would certainly make sense. Yeah. All right. So another of Andy's questions that he had here, that this is a little like a little kind of creative challenge for the pod. It is now your turn to pitch a sketch that will satisfy the network's New England version of the Canadian content mandate. So we'll kind of go around the horn, and everybody go ahead and pitch a show that you think would sort of work as effectively as Bob and Doug did for satisfying like the Canadian content mandate.
I got a question, Andy. Do you want to go last, or would you like to go first and kick this off? How strong do you feel, my friend?
So I'm going to say this. Because it was my question, I took this question very seriously.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I have a thing. So maybe I should go last because it's kind of long.
Okay.
You know.
All right.
All right. Who wants to do this? Fuck you guys.
Yeah,
Fine, I'll do it.
I'll go. All right.
I wanted to put Andy on the spot, but I might as well just get it done. This is half baked, by the way. I
was
could
gonna get mine
not.
done as well.
Mm.
It's totally half baked. I'm sitting there. I'm like, this sounds like something. There's something there with this, but every time I kind of talk about it, it just goes somewhere different.
Mm.
So it's tough. Being New England, you got SNL. They've done so many good like Boston bits. There's I love the one with Bill Burr. Anything with Bill
comedy
Burr.
writing comes out of Boston, comes out of New England to begin with. So you get it, Eric, 100%. 100%.
I mean, that one or like
Tommy,
Super Bowl.
please tell me you got that on tape.
Hampshire College, live from Hampshire College. Again, just Fallon and Sands.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what I came up with is it's a couple people, they're working at Dunkin' Donuts. It's a late shift. And people start, coming in because like a Red Sox game or something like that just wrapped up. And so people walk in, they place their order and they're like, yeah, so I'll get like a cappuccino with oat milk and make that iced. And then they're like, all right, so one medium French vanilla with extra sugar and extra cream. And they're like, and the people are like, and they're like, you want anything else? And he's like, yeah, I'll get a donut. They're like, all right, one Boston cream. And he's just like, wait, hold on, I don't want Boston cream. And they're like, excuse me, sir, all we have is Boston creams. And he's like, yeah, but what about like the chocolate with the sprinkles or like the coconut? The coconut. They're like, get over here. They're like, they call over the other person at work. They're like, you hear this guy? He wants a chocolate with sprinkles. And they're like, we only got Boston creams. He's like, that's what I'm saying. And so then the guy's like, you know what? He's like, I don't want a donut. I'm fine. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. Are you from around here? And the guy's like, well, yeah. Well, I'm from Maine. I drove in from Maine. They're like, oh, from Maine. Did you hear this? Would you like a lobster tail, sir? If you want a lobster tail, you can go to the Italian bakery down the end of the street. And the guy's like, I've never dealt with this before. This is bullshit. I'm leaving. And so he's like storms out the next person, like, all right, what do you want? And he's like, medium French vanilla, extra sugar, extra cream.
And a Boston cream.
And yeah, and
Right,
you have to get a Boston cream. That's as far as I got.
It's like the SNL Mikey Day Boston Scumbag series of like sketches that they've done. The Dunkin' Donuts one with Casey Affleck, like the multiple ones they've kind of done with Bill Burr, with like the Pumpkin Sam Adams and like the Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, the Buffalo
There's
Wild
always
Wings
some
one.
comment right up the top of like,
So
this wasn't even like there's no comedy writing here. This is just documentary footage.
Just a day in the life.
Yeah.
There was one of them too where I think there was like an asterisk and down below it said like actual Boston people or something.
Yeah.
So good.
Naveen?
Yeah, I should have gone first. Yeah, for half baked. I mean, geez. I have no idea. I was just thinking, go with New Hampshire with their slogan of "Live Free or Die," and just have these buddies be like stunt people, live free or die, and doing all these crazy stunts.
Mostly just die.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And that's all I had.
It's the New Hampshire version of YOLO, pretty much.
Yeah.
New Hampshire hot rod.
You just ate
It
that
was
cookie
tough,
dough raw. Jeez.
As you guys mentioned, and you three knowing Massachusetts so well, I'm like, Boston. I'm like, no, those three got it. But I mean, I can't do
Connecticut.
that.
I don't know what you make for jokes in Connecticut.
Yeah,
Look at all these white people.
it's kind of like
Yeah.
the Waynesville thing.
Yeah. We're in Connecticut.
It's that John
You want to go buy
it's
some
that John
corn at
Mulaney
that farm
bit.
stand?
That John
Yeah,
Mulaney bit of it's like,
just
so
our
my wife
top
and I were in
between.
Connecticut, doing white people stuff. And it doesn't matter why, but at one point we were sitting inside a gazebo.
I will say this: best corn mazes around. It's tons of, and they're expensive. I don't know why they're so expensive. It's just growing naturally.
Because
You're doing your job. You're cutting it. You're removing the corn. Why do you have to charge people to walk through what you just cut?
It's because all the people from New York City need to get out to the countryside for their fall.
They get all that money. They just want to throw it at
They gotta
something.
peep the leaves.
Right. Yeah.
Go watch the pig races. They just want something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Johnny.
All right. So this is what I got. This is my pitch for a for like kind of like a mockumentary style New England program. Okay. My fictional New England TV program is called Wahlburgers, a reality show that follows three dim-witted brothers, Mark, Donnie, and Paul, and their efforts to start a fast casual burger chain in Hingham, Massachusetts. This fictional show revolves around their struggles with the adult impacts of fatal alcohol syndrome, as evidenced by their accents, temperament, and extremely large foreheads. The periphery characters in the show include Jenny.
Do not laugh at him. He is
Jenny,
loving this
Donnie's
right now.
anti-vax,
that ego is just like
prone wife, and various towny hangers-on with names like Nacho and Drama. The show initially presents the brothers as incapable and under-resourced, but over the course of 10 seasons and 95 episodes, a widening lens on their lives revealed them to be implausibly, almost impossibly successful, with family accomplishments including decades-long film and television careers, 2 Academy Award nominations, an 8X platinum album, and almost $500 million in combined assets. Just completely, I just tried to be as just ridiculous and just as impossible as like.
You're just spitballing, right, Johnny?
You're impossible, John. You're possible. John, I got a question for you.
Sure.
What's the name of all Marky and Donnie's brothers?
I think we got to get Warren back on the program, and it's just
oh, that's really
There's
funny.
Little Hoser, Big Hoser, Extra Hoser.
Honestly, now I kind of wish I had
Hamlet
gone
Jr.
last.
Yeah,
Third to last.
Hamlet Jr. Othello the game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Andy, let's hear yours.
like I said, mine's a little long. I will try to keep it as quick as I can. So the pitch, the sketch is called "The Greatest New England Hero." A cluttered New England basement, complete with Boston sports memorabilia scattered everywhere, countless empty Dunkin' Donuts coffee cups and Sam Adams beer bottles, a half-eaten lobster roll, and a stack of Fluffernutter sandwiches wrapped in wax paper. The TV in the corner is tuned to tonight's Red Sox game on Nesson, while a radio station blares Sweet Caroline in the background. Tommy and Danny, 2 middle-aged New England men, one from Boston and one from Worcester, are sitting in mismatched recliners. They've been debating for hours, and the argument is getting way too heated. Tommy, a diehard Patriots fan, and Danny, a Celtics loyalist, are having an all-out argument about who is the greatest New England sports hero of all time, Tom Brady or Larry Bird. The debate starts with the typical banter, but soon devolves into a ridiculous, no-holds-barred fight with insults aplenty and probably some racism and homophobia mixed in there for good measure.
Sure.
Okay. First section is the Brady versus Bird debate, the ultimate showdown. As the debate rages on, they begin comparing Tom Brady's 7 Super Bowl wins to Larry Bird's 3 NBA titles. Tommy, of course, argues that Brady's grit and leadership make him the ultimate New England hero, while Danny swears Bird's legendary performances at the Boston Garden make him the true icon. The insults fly as each man tries to outdo the other. Tommy says, 7 Super Bowls, Danny. Brady's got 7 Super Bowls. Bird only ever won 3 fucking championships, and he didn't even get hit by a 300-pound linebacker to win them. Danny says, Bird played with heart, Tommy. He didn't need a team of personal trainers, chefs, doctors, or a model wife to win. He played under the Boston Garden banners with a wicked bad back and still kicked everyone's ass, dude. You think Brady could do that? Nah, Brady's more worried about his hairline than winning. The next part.
I swear this is a conversation I overheard at Eric's
So
wedding.
on the nose.
Yep.
Wow.
So
Okay.
the next
Everybody's
part-
uncle's like, it's fucking right.
Yeah.
Although my uncle will probably say, Brady's a quitter.
Yep, that's right. And then he went to Miami. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. So forget
Tampa
it.
Bay.
Tampa Bay is what I meant. Might as well be Miami. So the next part, they get into a debate about.
Look at this homo sitting there in the sun.
Look at this homo.
That's right.
Look at this homo.
Just to be clear, I'm leaving the racism and homophobia out of the parts that I say live because I don't want them to end up somewhere that I don't want them to be. Lobster rolls and fluffernutters. The conversation then turns to the proper New England sandwich, which with Tommy swearing that Tom Brady's go-to would be a fluffernutter, while Danny insists Bird would always go to a lobster roll at the Boston Garden. They start throwing jabs about how wrong the other's choice is and begin arguing over whether a lobster roll should have mayo or be, quote, pure butter. Tommy, fluffernutter is the New England classic. Brady eats them after every Super Bowl win. It's simple. It's heartwarming, and it's a damn tradition. Danny, you've lost your marbles, you chowderhead. Bird would never take a fluffernutter sandwich. He'd sit at the Boston Garden eating a lobster roll with no mayo, just butter and a little lemon on top. The real New England way.
That's it.
I'm almost done, guys. I'm getting there. Gillette Stadium versus Boston Garden. The debate reaches its peak when they start comparing the two sports arenas. Tommy insists Gillette Stadium is the ultimate home of New England greatness, while Danny swears the Boston Garden is where real heroes are made. They argue over who would survive playing in each arena, Brady at Gillette and Bird at the Garden, eventually throwing insults about what real New Englanders can handle. Tommy says, Gillette Stadium's where legends are made, guy. Bird couldn't even survive in that stadium. Brady owns Gillette. Danny says, the Boston Garden's where the real heroes are. You think Brady could handle playing there? Bird would have dropped 50 points and still had time to grab a lobster roll from the Garden vendors. Brady, he'd be in the locker room fixing his hair. So the final resolution, after hours of yelling, name-calling, and arguing, Tommy and Danny finally accept that both Brady and Bird are New England legends in their own right. They realize there's no winner here, just a bunch of proud, drunk New Englanders stuck in a cycle of never-ending, unresolvable debates.
Wow.
It just Massachusetts is just such a parody of itself. It's impossible to exaggerate anything about the state because it's such a weird place just as a baseline. Everything.
It's so weird, and I love it, and I will always love it. It's just such an endearing and wonderful and terrifying and great place.
Meanwhile, Naveen and I have the nutmeg steak.
No, it's not.
The sixth most important ingredient in a ginger snap. We were sitting there in a gazebo.
Yay.
Yep. But you got two casinos.
Delaware.
That's true. Delaware.
All right, so let's move on to Vigo's toes. And
I just want to say that Andy deserves applause.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Because that was above and beyond. So
Thank you.
Right.
and that was
Great
like,
imagery,
that
great
was
writing, wonderful,
dead
just completely believable accent work.
See, I usually
This is
tune out to all that shit. That's why most of that's just. I mean, I'm behind you on Bird, but I mean, he had an awesome team he was working with at the time. So
Sure did.
I also just don't like football.
I don't like sports at all, to be clear, but that's pretty much all that anybody in Massachusetts talks about. So
It's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Is Gillette the same as Foxborough?
So Foxborough was the old stadium. Gillette is the new stadium. Gillette is where Brady always played.
Yeah.
Not a sports guy, huh?
Yeah, I know. I used to like football back in the day, but it's been a long time.
You watched the Red Sox like until like 2000 and maybe 3 or 4, and then you're like, all right, now I'm done.
Not even that long, honestly. Basically,
I
after high school.
think you were saying like it was pretty much like you discovered music and then just.
Yep. I discovered music and then pretty much had no interest in sports anymore.
I think you just walk around just handing out instruments to people in like New England, and they're like, oh my God, what have I been doing with my entire life?
Yeah. I don't see that happening.
No.
Let me put down this fluffernutter real quick.
Yeah, get this fucking thing out of my face.
Instruments are
Was this
for
an
queers,
ashtray?
dude.
Yeah.
That's what you'd hear here. Anyway.
Yeah.
Vigo's toes.
Vigo's toes. Who's got some?
The word A was spoken 174 times in this movie.
Unbelievable.
Eh,
I didn't know, but they were going to make a sequel in 1999.
That's what I heard.
With Dan Aykroyd, right?
Dear Lord.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is pretty
Missed
crazy.
opportunity.
Yeah,
That's what it
and
would have been called. This opportunity.
Yeah, but Seth MacFarlane was going to try to finance it and stuff, but I don't know what happened with that.
No, it was actually, honestly, it was going to be called Homebrew. That was what it was supposed to be
Homebrew.
called.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
What else?
Other,
I
what
had
else?
nothing. I had loose facts, but yeah, I heard there was going to be a sequel.
Hmm.
Heard Mel Blanc was in it.
No, yeah.
Yeah, Mel Blanc. Actually, the guy that played the main bad guy in the film, I recognized him almost immediately. I was like, "Hey, that's the priest from The Exorcist."
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
He also did we confirm this? Does he have like fake teeth in that, or is that his actual teeth? It just
I
look very
Max on
toothy.
Slide Out, like I think he's just like a very freaky looking dude generally.
Yeah, his teeth were just standing up every scene I saw him, and I was like, "What's up with his teeth? Are they fake or what?"
Yeah.
Something weird going on.
Like a really wide, really kind of varied career. He was in, I think like The Seventh Seal. Like, he's just. I think he's maybe kind of like a bigger actor in Europe. But, yeah. Angus McGuinness, who played Rosie, the the hockey player, he was an X-wing pilot in A New Hope. He was Gold Leader.
Oh, no way.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I have Gold Leader's abbreviated biography here from Wikipedia, but maybe I'll think I'll
It's funny because I saw him and I was like, is he the guy that like did that Happy Gilmore, and he was like Happy's boss or something that chased chased the guy at the end of the movie, like the big
that was Jaws from 007 movies.
Was it really?
Yeah,
yeah,
he was Jaws. He played Jaws.
I was just like, he has the same kind of like goofy like Dutch boy haircut.
The stash.
He's got the stash. I'm like, it could be him.
I could see that.
Yeah, maybe brother. I don't know.
Interesting fact to follow up on Eric's with Mel Blanc being the voice of the dad. So he was brought on to do kind of a bit more speaking than he did in the movie, because his I guess his fee was $10,000, and the producers were like, that's way too much money for like a couple of few lines.
Right, like a dozen or so line reads in a Yosemite Sam voice.
Right. I mean, you can get anybody.
Ooh, that rabbit.
Yeah, get anybody else. So they basically said, okay, we're going to bring him in for a few days, and he's going to do a bunch of line reads. And then they basically snuck him in. They kept him there for like less than a day. It was like 3 hours. They had him cut his lines. They wrote him a check for $10,000, and they sent him on his way. So he was there for like less than an afternoon to do his part.
Yeah. What a hero.
Yeah.
What a
he
hero.
also did the voice for Barney Rubble, and then Rick Moranis played Barney Rubble.
Oh yeah. I think
Forgot about that.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was pretty.
I
neat.
just wanted to read a couple like the single line letterbox reviews on Strange Brew. I think they're pretty good.
Sure.
So, what do we got? I love Bob and Doug. I wish Canadians were real. Wayne's World 1, eh?
Yeah, see? Exactly.
It's fair.
The movie was also called The Only Essential Take on Hamlet, and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are drunk. I like that.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah. So I don't know, like any sort of closing thoughts. I feel like I kind of want to go back and sort of kind of rewatch like individual scenes. I'm curious that this, like I said, I didn't love this on like the first pass, but I feel like this may kind of grow on me, especially because now the four of us again, this is like another thing we just because of this show we have kind of like a really kind of fun kind of shared context for us. So I think it's just kind of just us, as time goes by, hanging out, kind of quoting those things. I'm curious to see if I kind of rethink this movie like later on down the line.
It's weird because I thought the two of them were the least likable part about the movie. There was so much other stuff being offered by the movie because they're kind of monotone in their delivery, and that's the difference between them and like in Wayne's World, for example. I'm like, what's wrong here? Something just seems a little off. And I feel like in Wayne's World, I don't know, it's just more prominent. Maybe they're more confident when they deliver the lines, or more expressive. But in Strange Brew, it's just like two brothers, like, hey, blah, 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 blah. They're just kind of like chatting to themselves. And I feel like I'm not part of that almost. Or they're just kind of like making kind of like offhand comments, like, you know, I don't know. It didn't hit for me. But like the scene where the guy was like, hey, man, 650. And he's like, do you take 2 5s? I was like, right there. There's a good line. There's and a lot of it too. I'm kind of like, I got a little too into like the sci-fi elements where I'm like, they didn't explain something, but I'm like, they kept adding more mystery to what's going on. I'm like, well, what is the Strange Brew? Like, really, what is it? And then what the hell is the whole scene with the hockey players and they're smashing? They're like, that's like the level 5.
They're dressed up as stormtroopers. You know, there's a lot of Star Wars call-outs in this. You know, just
seriously,
Captain of Angus McGinnis, the costumes, like, you know, what was this line? Oh, he's seen Jedi 43 times, eh?
Yeah.
And I can't be the only one that wants them to actually make the movie that they're making in the very beginning, the sci-fi movie. That
mutant. Yeah.
I mean, I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Oh yeah.
The Rex would be great.
Guys, The Road Warrior is only the second best apocalyptic film we talked about in the podcast.
The fleshy-headed mutant. I love it. So good.
Yeah.
That was great.
Any closing thoughts? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously Bienni, I still think it's great. I think you should go back and watch it because there's probably some things you missed. I know some things I missed. I actually ended up watching it twice since we had a little time. Once we postponed the record and things, but it's just funny and just dumb, I guess, and that's what makes it great.
Yeah.
And just the little things, and even some parts, it really does seem like it's ad-libbed, and you know, they're Rick Moranis is putting up the screen.
Chunks of this just had to be be improvised.
Yeah. And he's putting up the screen, and
like
when it goes down.
When Pamela's looking at Bob, and he had some line like, "I would kiss you if I didn't have puke breath, eh?"
Yeah.
I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you. And the whole thing is like, oh, check out, they got sandwiches in here. It's like, you really want to eat that, don't you? The machine is off.
Yep. I still do the steamroller with my
steamroller.
kids.
That was so great.
Steamroller.
I remember that doing his brothers, and I wonder if that's where we got it from. We
put on a shirt, you kind of tie it behind your back. Somebody straps you up, and you just roll around.
Let me ask this kind of real quick as dads. Like, I feel like, the two of them really sort of played it as, other than the drinking and the smoking, that these are sort of 10-year-old boys, like, at the end of the day, pretty much. Like, there's this one scene like they're in a house and they're kind of just walking down the hallway, but they're sort of kind of swaying, just kind of bumping into each other the entire time.
I mean, swap out beer with, like, I don't know, like Prime or something.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Yeah, get your dad an ice pop Prime, son. Oh man, we gotta get my dad an ice pop Prime. It's like $2. Oh damn, where are we gonna go? Let's go back to that Five Below.
Yep.
Nice. All right. So that was Strange Brew. Let's
wait,
let's move on
say
to
it.
What's up?
Not a mockumentary.
Not a mockumentary.
Not a mockumentary.
Nope. Sorry, boys. My bad.
Naveen, can you edit in like the sound of like a big stamping noise, like right at this point? Not a mockumentary.
All right,
Cool.
I'll write that down.
Sweet.
Don't hork us.
Hork us,
Right.
dude.
I'm half Canadian. I can use that.
You have a
That's
Canadian
our
tag?
word.
Yeah, yeah. I hit that line. That's like maybe the I don't know 24-inch line. Now you can hork.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right. So upcoming themes, 2025. So like the plan here is, this it's kind of wild that we did this is basically concluding the first set of sort of film cycles that we sort of that everybody kind of pitched and then voted on. We're going to be doing like this one, like a little bit different. The idea for this to give every host a opportunity to have one to have one set of movies with a theme that they've chosen on the show. All four of us have picked two sets of themes. We're going to kind of we'll sort of kind of go through one at a time and pitch both options to the rest of the pod. And then after everybody has kind of done our pitches, we'll sort of go back through, and the other three hosts will vote on which of the two themes that per host that we want to do for 2025. So Naveen, let's start with you. What are your two ideas?
All right. So first idea I had was video games turned to movies. You know, there's a lot of those that have happened. You know, the Uncharted, Doom, Tomb Raider, Super Mario Brothers. So I thought it'd be cool to kind of do something like that and see how well they did with trying to make a video game into a movie. Just an idea that came to me that I thought was pretty cool as well. And then the other thing we talked about a while back, Andy had his little Rebel Talks things that we had with Saturday morning cartoons, and that's thought to me is like, all right, what about cartoons that were turned into real life movies, or just movies, as opposed to their 10-minute or 30-minute episode kind of thing. So just bringing some things back that we did and things that we enjoyed throughout the years as kids, and how they tried to adapt those things to make them into viable movies. To
extremely varying degrees of success, depending.
Yeah. Right. What about those Disney afternoon movies that they did, where they'd show it'd be like 4 parts? It's all part of like one big. It's not cinematic. They did the DuckTales movie, for example, right? That was straight to video. It was a TV, maybe it's TV released, then to like VHS or something like that.
It was like an hour and a half movie, but they chopped it up into like 4 or 5 like episodes. But that was kind of like the pilot for the DuckTales show.
Yeah. They did that for a couple of the series though too. I feel like Chip and Dale did the same thing. I don't know. I'm sure there's tons of stuff. I'm going to take a look, see what there is.
Yeah, there's plenty. But didn't they also do a DuckTales movie?
Yeah, they did a few years later. There was something with the genie. I don't remember it particularly great.
Genie Duck.
Yeah. Geoduck,
Gizmo Duck, Genie Duck.
It's those were my pitch. I don't know if I need to do anything more than that, or
no, I think that's good.
But yeah.
All right. So two ideas I had. Like the first one was after we did kind of Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny with like the Riff Tracks comedy, like on our Christmas special. I personally had just a lot of fun watching that. It was cool to kind of change it up and kind of watch just watch things to watch things like together with the four of us. And I thought maybe we could potentially make that into like an entire film cycle. I had a few different sort of like a kind of B movies with just kind of either riff tracks or MST commentaries in mind. So I got 4 of them here, and like let me kind of read real quick what the descriptions are and see if they kind of captures anyone's interest. So there's a 1987 movie called Cry Wilderness about a student named Paul who's befriended by a magical Bigfoot while his park ranger father tries to capture an escaped tiger. 2008's Twilight. Bella, a catatonic Seattle high schooler, enters into an abusive relationship with an older man. Munchie from 1992. Young Gage Dobson, while dealing with classmate bullying and his parents' divorce, discovers a wish-granting demon Muppet in an abandoned mineshaft. Jennifer Love Hewitt co-stars. And then finally, I want you guys to kind of watch Eric's face. I just want you to just watch like the smile that he gets when I kind of describe.
I'm on mute, by the way, because like the first movie you called out, I was thinking like, what's that movie where they abuse that raccoon? I want to see that one. The one where they're like, hey, what are you doing here? Like, just horrible. The guy's like a ranger, and he's just so mean to that raccoon. But go on.
Yeah. And finally, I think if we do this theme, it's the only kind of mandatory entry. This is a 2003 movie called The Room. Synopsis in brief: this is the story of San Francisco stockbroker Johnny, who is torn apart when his fiancee Lisa cheats on him with his best friend Mark.
We have to eat pizza while we watch this, by the way. Did you get a pizza?
Yep.
What? I already ordered one.
Think of everything. We also have like plastic spoons to like kind of just to
to throw at our monitors. Sad.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's the first one that I had. The other one I had was horny horror movies. There's this
right back to Spice Channel.
Right back to Spice Channel.
There you go, Smeagol.
I can see at least half a nipple here, but these would be kind of horror movies. Again, trying to kind of sort of just progress Andy into like a bit more kind of like understanding and appreciation of the genre. Why not show him some of the sexy ones? Why not some like the really crazy horny? Like the things I had in mind, there is Tony Scott's 1983 The Hunger, starring Susan Sarandon and David Bowie, which Roger Ebert once described as a terrible movie with some pretty great sex scenes. 2009's Thirst from Park Chan-wook, personal favorite. I kind of shared the trailer the other day. David Cronenberg's The Fly, which just not only has just completely off-the-wall chemistry between Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis, who were dating at the time, but it also has a scene of Jeff Goldblum kind of shirtlessly cradling an actual live baboon.
Wait, last one is Howard the Duck. Is it?
It is now.
Certainly could be.
I was like, you're 7 for 7. Come on.
But also other movies are kind of like a horny horror.
I think it's. I was terrified.
Yeah.
The monster at the end. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Sticks with you, Naveen. It sticks with you. It's right here. It's right here.
That's not the scene that stuck with me, but all right.
Yeah.
More
the bestiality.
Live action Marvel movie. As it turns out.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Think about that. So those are like the two ideas that I had there. Going on to Eric.
All right. So this all started with I was at a Christmas party the other day, and somebody had I forget what they had on, like Netflix or something like that. And they just kept running all these different Christmas movies, and then they had the what's that Arnold Schwarzenegger one, Jingle All the Way, came on, and I saw that, and then everybody in the room started doing like Arnie impressions. And we're like, the chopper, get down. I need the turbo action. Figure for my son. And so we just all kept doing Arnie impressions, and I'm like, let's just do like a string of like the best Arnie movies. And then I'm like, well, I mean, because I'm thinking at some point we're gonna have to do this kind of thing where it's just like, all right, the new theme will be we all pick our favorite movie and we'll just pick an actor or something like that. But I mean, if we're not ready for that yet, I thought we could do most quotable movies. So this could be anything that maybe you and your friends like. I don't.
Just constantly say
like Zoolander, for example. Yeah, or anything that you and your buddies used to quote all the time. Tons of those like early 2000s or late 90s comedies, or just anything in general, any classic film. And so it's pretty much open to any genre. So anything you want to put in there, I totally get it.
What I like about that, there's a possibility for a really huge variety of kind of different.
Oh yeah, it could be horror. It could be
Mallrats comes to mind.
Right.
Yeah. Where's the movie, dude? I don't know. Where's the movie? So that was my first one. My second one was unconventional superhero movies. I was thinking first I was going to say non-US superhero movies or like non-MCU superhero movies. But then I thought unconventional, because I'm like, in that situation, you could do like Mystery Men.
Sure.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I was like, I want to give myself another reason to watch it. So I'm like,
Mystery Man is on there. Hancock probably would be on there.
Hancock. What's that one? Unbreakable.
Yep.
Oh, sure.
There's a ton of different things you could choose from there. You can also you can also pick like I was thinking like superhero movies outside of the States as well.
Big Man Japan was
was one that we brought up previously. I guess what's that
Do I
one?
bring Bollywood
Oh,
back into this?
yeah. When I typed
no.
in unconventional
yeah.
superhero movies, there's a ton of Bollywood movies that come up.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
Naveen, if
I
you
think
have something in mind, I
that.
think that would be like a lot of
No,
fun.
I have something in mind, but I didn't like the movie, so I don't want to.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna find a Bollywood movie that's superhero, and I'm gonna bring it.
Nice.
But somebody has to choose Mystery Men.
Hmm.
It's a deal, right?
Hmm.
It's a deal. I mean,
Or could it be a fifth one, like we're doing with the mockumentaries?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's possible. Depends how much people want to stick with this arc. But yeah, I'm down.
Mystery Men is great.
Yeah,
It is. I remember it being an awesome movie and just so much talent in one film.
it
Yep.
still holds up.
Does it? Have you seen it recently?
Triangulate, equilateral, or isosceles. And that's also a quotable movie.
Yeah, it's good.
It's true.
What's
that
that one
covers
guy's power? He can turn invisible, but only when people aren't looking at him.
Yeah.
both.
That's an amazing bit.
Stop looking at me.
Yep, that's good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good ideas. Andy, going on to you.
So I came up with modern film noir (parentheses the year 1980 or after).
Right.
And I think about, like, when I think of modern film noir movies, I think of like Drive,
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, or Brick.
Yep.
Or,
Oh, I love
Mulholland
Kiss Kiss Bang
Drive, even like Sin City, Seven, stuff like that.
What about like Memento?
Memento for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pretty much any Fincher movie would sort of kind of like fit the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
more or less.
Reservoir Dogs.
So, yeah, Reservoir Dogs would absolutely fit. I think getting Tarantino on this podcast, it's been too long.
It's true.
Yeah.
Been too long. So that was my first thought. And the reason I chose that was just largely because I just really like film noir type stuff. I just think it's the mystique of it and whatever. I just really enjoy.
Really, I'm
It was
surprised.
part of
I didn't
what's up,
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Because you never saw Chinatown.
I never saw Chinatown.
It's more recent stuff that you gravitate towards.
Yeah. I definitely haven't spent any time watching the older stuff, and I'm sure I would enjoy it. I'm sure I should, but I just haven't.
It would be great, just as a way to kind of get maybe kind of like a little bit more sort of like kind of like adult and like sort of mature stuff, and I think that would be like kind of good sort of just kind of counter programming against kind of some like the cartoony stuff or like the superhero stuff that we've been doing.
Yep.
That we could potentially be doing like for these cycles we got coming up.
Yep, agreed. And then my second one is, well, it's cyberpunk. And so we've already done
Blade Runner and
Blade Runner. So like we've kind of touched on this already, so maybe this is a little bit of a rehash, but I was like, the movies that come to mind when I think of that stuff is like The Running Man, RoboCop, Total Recall,
Matrix, obviously, Johnny Mnemonic,
Dread. I love the movie Dread with the Carl Urban.
I've never seen it.
Carl Urban, yeah.
I think it is so good, and I feel like it was criminally underrated. Honestly, Dread was the first one that came to my mind, that if we ended up doing this cyberpunk thing, Dread was the one I was probably going to pick, just because I loved it so much, and I haven't watched it in a while. But anyway, yeah, so modern film noir, cyberpunk.
Sweet. Okay. Any sort of last thoughts there? You guys just want to go straight to voting?
I've got nothing. Yeah, so straight to voting sounds good to me.
All right.
Okay, first, Naveen, we got either video game adaptations or live action remakes of cartoons.
Video games.
Yeah, I'll
Are we allowed to vote for our own, or did we say not?
It's the other three votes, so we can't have ties.
Right.
Yeah,
that's what
I'll go with video games.
Video games. Okay, I was going to say kind of like live action adaptations, but yeah, video game sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right.
Now for mine, we got B movies with commentary or horny horror.
I gotta go with the B movies. I have
B movies.
to.
Yeah, I'm going B movies.
Those are all great choices.
I think I would have. Yeah, I actually am having a hard time with this one, but I think I would have settled on B movies as well. So,
I mean, it gives us a reason to watch The Room too. So,
yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
If nothing else. Okay. For Eric's, either most quotable movies or unconventional superheroes. I'm going to say superheroes for this one.
Superheroes. I was gonna lean towards that one as well.
Yeah, I think I am too.
all right,
Cool.
get down.
And
Take off, eh?
Take off,
Yeah.
eh?
and finally for Andy, we got either cyberpunk or I was just reading the other day that apparently like noir films made after the 60s are technically called neo-noir. So if we're confining this movies after the 80s, we should call this, I think, like neo-noir. So we've got a cyberpunk or neo-noir. I'm thinking noir movies for this one. I think.
What if you choose The Matrix? Is that like a neo noir?
neo-noir?
Yeah.
I like the neo
Andy,
noir.
Naveen, Eric.
I would love to watch
Cyberpunk
the
on this
neo
one.
noir. Cyberpunk.
Yeah. But
Nope.
if I mean, I'm good with both. I mean, it was a tough choice on that one too. I liked them both. But I mean, if you two are going for neo noir, I'm down with that.
Sounds good.
For what it's worth,
What if
that would
Neo-
be the one I'd have picked too out of mine.
The
Yeah.
cyber.
As soon as I saw the
Yeah.
list, I was like, that one looks like a
Uh-huh.
fun one to do.
I think
Yeah,
it could be really interesting, and I think once you dig in to see like the movies that are technically in that genre,
It's a huge of like a lot of really fantastic films.
huge.
Yeah. Big umbrella. Okay. So that gives us our upcoming themes for 2025. So we'll be doing video game adaptations, B movies with commentary, unconventional superheroes, and neo-noir. Sweet.
Cool. That's incredibly varied too, which I think is going to be
Mhm.
really cool.
Yeah.
100%.
Are we doing it in that order, or are we gonna throw it in a randomizer?
What do you guys think?
Yeah, doesn't matter to me which way we do it.
I mean, I feel like you've got one very serious with neo noir.
Yep.
Right.
You've got one incredibly stupid with B movies.
Right.
You've got one that's more kind of cartoony and you know, whatever. And then
Probably
you've
an
got
action film.
and then you've got the superhero one, which I guess could go in a number of different directions depending on what you choose.
Yeah. I think whatever we do, as long as we don't do Naveen's and Eric's back to back.
Yes.
I think otherwise maybe just as written, we got just start with Naveen, go to mine, Eric's and Andy, and we have that kind of built into what's already there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Works for me.
Sure.
Okay. So we'll be coming in January 2025. We'll be, I guess, doing a cycle of video game adaptations. So
Sweet.
start thinking like a little bit about what you're interested in watching. I think, with this one, maybe like, we should be maybe a little bit loose with like the definitions, because if we were kind of like strictly like kind of one-to-one video game to movies, that might be kind of a small pool. So I think if anybody has an idea that kind of stretches that definition like a little bit, I think being kind of flexible may be a smart idea there.
Yeah, I think let's just pose them to the group, and if anybody has any, reasons not to do a certain thing, then voice them. If not, then we'll go for it.
I'm trying to figure out my argument on how to convince you guys to let me watch Scott Pilgrim.
Ooh.
So it's the reverse though, because the Scott Pilgrim, the video game, came out after the movie.
After the movie, but there's still connective tissue there. Yeah.
I also have a strong dislike for that movie.
I really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I thought it was more like a neo-noir movie. I mean, no?
I've never liked it. But I also haven't watched it in a long time. And it's one of those movies that every time I watch it, I tell myself, this is the time I'm going to like it, because I want to like it because all of my friends like it. And I feel like I'm just the one sore
You're
thumb.
supposed to take a look
no,
at
I'm
the party
not
and it
a fan of it
plays
either.
like the fairy song.
You don't like it either, Naveen?
I didn't think it was as great as people thought it was.
You
said it was.
serious?
Yeah.
Edgar Wright,
Really?
he's an amazing director, and
He's fantastic.
such a great
Yeah.
film. It's
He's
so
fantastic.
good.
I didn't think it was great, but as a whole, it was just like, eh. Like putting all that.
Your guys are more of a Knives Chow guy. I get it. I get it.
That's right.
You're like, oh man, Scott's such a douchebag. Scott, what are you doing? Are you waiting for your package to be delivered? He's like, it's here.
It could be that reason there, because Michael Cera is. It's like he's the same guy in every single.
He's a
thing
complete scumbag. In this.
Kieran, he is. But Kieran Culkin is so good in it.
He's amazing.
I love him so much. I was like, if they had anybody else as the roommate that just kind of let Scott off the hook, I would have been like, no, this doesn't work.
Right.
He's definitely by far my favorite part of the movie. By far.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love that movie like front to back. But
cool. I mean, I would be open to watching it again.
Yeah, me too. I definitely would.
Okay, cool. So a little bit of food for thought there. Gentlemen, any sort of closing thoughts at all?
Yeah, nothing that comes to mind for me. Just, yeah, no, nothing.
No.
That's how you're going to end it? You got to say A? You got to end with an A. You guys are... Come on.
Which way we
you
going
passed
first?
on quotable movies. You called
try to do our
quotable movie. It's
maybe we should just wrap it up. Let's just like edit some credits, just kind of going over like the thumbnail. Just color.
Hey, it was a good movie, eh? Hey, you hoser. Naveen's always such a knob.
There goes the dolly.
Yeah. Oh, the gaffer.
they gaff.
Yeah.
So I think for our next episode, we're going to be doing our kind of a year-end review. We're calling it Burnt Ends. We'll be having kind of the general conversation about just like the last, I guess, 30 odd episodes of the pods. Sort of just kind of talk about sort of most and least favorite movies. Trying to get off any sort of old takes that any kind of like newer old takes on movies that we didn't have a chance to kind of go over sort of previously, and just reflecting on the show and like the year that was. And following that, hopefully we're going to try to get to it by the end of the year, but we will be wrapping our mockumentary cycle with an actual genuine mockumentary in 1984 rock and roll classic. This is Spinal Tap by Rob Reiner. Very much looking forward to like that conversation.
Rock and roll.
I'm going to bring up the fact that we didn't get to see Guar in Cambridge at Paradise.
Right.
That's still, John talked about how awesome a show it is. The fact that they came so soon afterwards to Boston or Cambridge, and
I know.
They could fucking go.
I think we should try to make it a goal of this pod that all four of us go see Guar together at some point.
Right.
Let's make sure we do that.
I'd love to do that.
I think it would be the most fun. It would be the most fun. Let's try.
Easily the best rock show that I've seen this year, and just so get the chance to kind of like swing back and visit that again, which would be amazing.
Yep, I'm down.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you kindly, everyone, and we'll talk. Hopefully, I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Definitely.
Later.
See you later,
guys. Adios, hoser.
Yeah.
Hoser.
Yeah, hoser.
Hoser.
Yeah.
Hoser.
Yeah, hoser.